Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're diving into a humble kitchen staple that is, quite literally, a food of legends. I mean, we're talking about garlic. It's been hanging in our kitchens, braided in our pantries, and starring in our favorite recipes for absolute centuries. But beyond its undeniable ability to make a simple tomato sauce taste incredible, there is a fascinating world of science hidden inside those little cloves.
Seriously, did you know that garlic is a food of legends? While it might not actually ward off vampires, modern science shows it's an absolute powerhouse for your heart health. It's kind of funny, actually. Folklore tells us that garlic repels the undead, right? And some researchers even suspect these myths stem from an ancient blood disease called porphyria, where sufferers were super sensitive to the chemicals in garlic. But today, we're trading the spooky folklore for a lab coat to see what garlic actually does inside the human body.
Section 1. Myths, Legends, and Science.
Okay, let's dive right into this, pivoting away from those Saturday matinee monster myths and looking directly at the hard clinical facts. We first need to look at its chemical makeup. At the heart of garlic's power are these incredible sulfur-based compounds. The most famous one? It's called allicin. And here's what's so amazing about allicin. It doesn't just sit there in the intact clove. Nope. It's actually produced the exact moment you dice, crush, or chop the garlic right there on your cutting board. That pungent, unmistakable smell that hits your nose? Yep, that's the allicin being released. And this highly reactive compound has been extensively studied for its health properties.
Section 2. Blood pressure and heart health.
So let's look at the first major benefit we found in the research. Studies show that garlic can literally be a game changer for your ticker. But before we get to the data, we need to clarify exactly how researchers study this stuff. In clinical trials, scientists rarely just feed people raw garlic. I mean, it can be harsh on the stomach and, well, obviously terrible for the breath. Instead, they heavily rely on something called aged garlic extract, or AGE for short. This is garlic that's been aged in a specific solution for 10 months or more. This whole aging process actually converts the harsh, pungent compounds into stable, odorless, and highly bioavailable compounds like S-allyl cysteine. So it's a highly tolerable way to get all the benefits without that raw garlic sting.
Now take a look at the chart we've got here. This comes directly from a massive 2026 meta-analysis reviewing randomized controlled trials on how aged garlic extract impacts cardiovascular diseases. You see all those little squares? They represent different clinical trials, and when you put them all together, a really clear trend emerges regarding blood pressure.
The data shows an average drop in systolic blood pressure of 1.71 millimeters of mercury among participants taking AGE. Now, I know what you're thinking. That might seem like a modest number, but the mechanism behind it is absolutely fantastic. The researchers note that AGE improves the activity of something called endothelial nitric oxide synthase. To put that in plain English, it basically helps your blood vessels produce nitric oxide, which dilates your arteries, reduces arterial stiffness, and keeps your blood flowing smoothly.
Section 3. Managing your cholesterol. So we know it helps the physical mechanics of your blood flow. But what about the blood itself? Are you looking to improve your numbers? Check out this striking number right here. That same meta-analysis found that supplementation with aged garlic extract resulted in a drop in triglycerides by an impressive 22.08 milligrams per deciliter. Triglycerides are a type of fat in your blood, and keeping them low is a massive priority for your overall cardiovascular health.
And it doesn't stop at triglycerides. The trials also demonstrated that high doses of AGG help lower the bad LDL cholesterol by about 3.55 points, while simultaneously increasing the good HDL cholesterol by over 5.5 points. In fact, a lot of studies suggest that aged garlic extract is just a highly tolerable way to get these exact hard protective benefits without the sharp, raw garlic sting and stomach irritation that comes from eating raw cloves.
Section 4. Fighting chronic inflammation.
Beyond blood pressure and lipids, another incredible superpower of this plant is fighting chronic inflammation in the body. This chart tracks the clinical data on how aged garlic extract impacts inflammatory pathways. When scientists actually measured the blood of participants, they found that garlic isn't just for seasoning, it's a natural anti-inflammatory. It successfully turns down the signals in our body that cause harmful chronic inflammation.
To give you a super specific example, let's look at TNF-alpha. This is a major pro-inflammatory cytokine. Basically, think of it as a cellular alarm bell that, when it's ringing constantly, actually damages your tissues. Well, the meta-analysis showed that AGE supplementation dropped TNF-alpha levels by an impressive 178.62 femtograms per milliliter. Lowering this marker of inflammation is a massive, highly measurable win for your overall wellness and longevity.
Section 5. The supplement catch.
Okay, here is where we need to take a step back and ground the science with a bit of a reality check. You see, there's a massive difference between culinary garlic and clinical garlic. Here's the real pro tip. To get the most out of it, most of these successful clinical trials use high supplemental doses. We're talking 1,200 milligrams a day or more of aged garlic extract. That is vastly different than just mincing a single clove into your pasta sauce on a Friday night.
And because these supplements pack such a concentrated punch, they definitely command respect. As Dr. Christina Peterson from the American Heart Association points out, I wouldn't recommend somebody take a garlic supplement. This should be done in consultation with a physician.
So why exactly is she so cautious? Well, it's because garlic has a real physiological impact on your blood. High doses of garlic can actually interact with certain drugs, particularly blood thinners. In fact, medical guidelines advise patients on blood thinners to entirely avoid high doses of garlic at least 1 week before any surgery or dental procedure to prevent excessive bleeding. I mean, it is powerful stuff.
Which brings us to our mandatory, but very important, educational disclaimer. The science we are reviewing today is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always talk to your doctor or a qualified health provider before starting a garlic supplement, especially if you are on blood thinners or have an existing medical condition.
Section 6. Culinary tips and takeaways. Right, so now that we've covered the heavy clinical science and medical safety, how can we safely and deliciously enjoy this at home? From a nutritional standpoint, garlic is an absolute bargain. A single clove is just 4 calories, yet it delivers solid amounts of vitamin C, vitamin B6, and manganese. Try adding fresh garlic to your roasted veggies, salads, or tomato sauces to boost both the flavor and the nutrition. Actually, nutritional experts point out that making healthy foods like vegetables taste incredible might just be garlic's most powerful, real-world health benefit. Your heart will thank you just for eating more veggies.
But of course, we absolutely cannot talk about culinary garlic without addressing the elephant in the room. Or rather, the smell in the room. What about the universally dreaded garlic breath? Those exact same amazing sulfur compounds that protect your heart are notorious for lingering on your breath. Well, you'll be happy to know science has an answer for that too. Researchers at Ohio State University actually ran tests to see what remedies neutralize that sulfur stink the best. There's science-backed recommendations. If you have garlic breath, try chewing on raw mint, eating some raw lettuce, or snacking on a raw apple. The enzymes and phenolic compounds in these raw foods actually act as a natural deodorizer. How cool is that?
So, from fending off mythical vampires to actively defending your cardiovascular system by lowering blood pressure and inflammation, garlic truly earns its legendary status. It makes us wonder, if the humble garlic clove has this much clinical data behind it, what other legendary kitchen staples are sitting in your pantry right now quietly hiding their own clinical superpowers? Keep that in mind the next time you cook. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.